Have you ever wondered what the future holds for the OMI token, the utility token of the Veve ecosystem? Are you curious about the plans to get the token into the hands of more dedicated collectors like you and me? Then this interview is just right for you. I'm your host, Jan Collects, and today I have the perfect guest to talk about the development of the OMI token. So, welcome the Ecomi community manager, Foster Hilt.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. I mean, it's been a long time coming, but finally we made it. So let's dive right into it. So my first question to you would be, before you became like community manager of Ecomi, you've been a community member yourself, regularly updating the community about news depending on Ecomi and Veve. So I would like to know, now that you are the community manager, try to think back to the role just as a community member and let me know what would be your thoughts on the development of the OMI token. Would you be satisfied, or would there also be some room for criticism?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for arranging this. Your audience won't know this, but you've been on me for quite a while to make this happen, and have been very patient with me. So I appreciate that we were able to make the time today, and that I was able to come on and speak with you and finally be able to do this. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Foster. I'm the community manager for Ecomi, a position that I started in November of 2023. But prior to that, I had joined the community, both Veve and Ecomi, as a community member in April of 2021. So for about 2.5 years, I had the opportunity to wear the hat of a community member and really get to experience what it was like to be a part of such an incredible community. So many passionate people, so many people from different walks of life that have all come together for their joy of collecting and their joy of fandom that Veve allows. And so I came for OMI originally. I came for OMI and I stayed for Veve. And so it's been really cool to be able to kind of grow and be able to share some of the exciting fandoms that I grew up with my friends, family, and kids. So when I look at the progress that we've made with OMI and Ecomi over the past couple of years, when I first started, felt like there was going to be a period of time where, similar to what Veve did when they refactored their platform, there was going to be a period where you wouldn't see a ton of deliverables in the front end. There was going to be a lot of things where we were restructuring. We were trying to plan out how things were going to evolve, whether it be because just change in internal priorities, or whether it be because of macro factors, whether it be regulations, or just the way that Web3 was moving in general. So there was a period of time where I felt like we were kind of building up towards some things. And then in 2024, those three priorities were accessibility, utility, and OMI to NFT. And while we have delivered on all three of those facets in different regards, I would definitely say that there's always room for improvement. I think if I was to sit before you today and tell you that everything has been perfect, we've delivered on absolutely everything, and the job was finished, that it would leave a lot of people, including myself, very disappointed. I think that there's always things to work towards. I think there's always things to improve upon. But I think one of the things that makes me very fortunate after having been a community member and now the community manager is that I have fantastic relationships with so many members of the community that I can lean and rely on them to ask them questions and get feedback about the things that they're looking forward to, or the things that they believe that we can improve on. So that way I can take that back to our teams and work to deliver on those features or improve upon the shortcomings that we've had thus far. I would say overall, especially over the last 6 months or so, I would probably give us somewhere around a B, if I'm being kind of fair to myself. I think, 2024, not as much. I think we'd be probably more of a C, but I think over the last 6 months or so with our partnership with Stacker and the rollouts that we've had, some of which we'll likely talk about as we get further into this interview, I think we've started to deliver on a more regular cadence, which I think is something that the community has been looking for. And I think that we're always working and will always be working towards improving our communication towards the features that we've either already completed or that we're working to continue to develop. I think that likely is the one thing as a community member that I would say is something that still isn't where I would want it to be if I was sitting on the other side of the fence. And so that's something that I'm continually working to kind of break down those walls to improve upon that communication. But I feel confident in being able to say that anyone that's been paying attention to the things that we've been working on and have delivered over the last 6 to 12 months, that we are in fact delivering on the features that the community has been looking for. And it feels like the excitement is starting to come back into the community, which is fantastic.
Definitely. Yeah. So probably a lot of people who are watching this are like kind of diehard Veve and Ecomi community members and fans. But probably a few new people are trying to get information through this interview. So just give us a rough overview. What has happened for OMI over the last, let's say, one year or so? Because a lot has happened, in my opinion.
A lot has happened. I wish that I had written it all down beforehand, because I'll probably miss some pretty awesome things. But like I said, with our priorities for 2024 and rolling over into 2025 being accessibility, utility for the token, as well as OMI to NFT, I feel like we've really delivered on a lot of aspects of that. So we have the Master Collector program on the Veve side, and we have our OMI rewards program that users have been able to take advantage of. And one of the cool things that we did with that just over the last couple of months was move to a self-custody model of rewards. And what that means for users is that they no longer have to hold their OMI tokens in the Veve web wallet, meaning that they do not have control of the keys for their crypto. Now they can hold it in their Stacker self-custody wallet powered by Privy, and have custody of their tokens, meaning that they can feel in a Web3 view that they have more control over the crypto that they own. And so that was one really cool thing that I think we've been able to deliver on. Same thing on the Stacker front. Obviously, a major one was OMI to NFT. For those people finally. And what many people may not be aware of with OMI to NFT is that it in effect was the original utility for the OMI token when it initially came out. And so it was released, and for a very small window of time in early 2021, users could actually utilize OMI to NFT. But the problem with OMI to NFT was it opened up some concerns with App Store regulations and being able to have crypto on the mobile app, which at the time was the only platform that Veve had in order to integrate. So they actually had to remove crypto from the app, meaning that people could not utilize OMI to NFTs. So after a lot of creative solutions and monitoring kind of the regulations over the years, we've finally gotten to the point where we're out of beta now. Users can now use OMI to effectively purchase every Veve digital collectible that is available on their platform from over 200 brands and IP. It's massive. And outside of it returning the initial utility to the token, which I think was important just from a standpoint of users who are looking to utilize it, it really opens up opportunities for cross-pollination of user bases. Veve, for the most part, tends to have kind of a Web 2.5 leading crowd, in my opinion anyways. Whereas OMI is obviously, it's an ERC20 token powered by the base network currently for all the utility that we build. But for our purposes, it's a native Web3 product. So now we have this opportunity where we can cross-pollinate this Web2 user base who may not be familiar with cryptocurrency, Web3 blockchain technology, and our Web3 users who are looking to check out digital collecting underpinned by NFTs and blockchain technology to provide that legitimacy and scarcity to them and really target both user bases at once. Because who has a bigger user base than 200 brands and IP of the biggest products in the world, right? They just don't exist anywhere else. And so that's been really cool to be able to watch kind of unfold, and the numbers on Stacker thus far, which I don't believe they've released publicly, but it's been really cool. I think there's been about $1 billion OMI spent in the marketplace in the last couple months. Obviously there's a burn component to that, which a lot of people I don't think know about necessarily, because I'll see people asking regularly, does the token burn? Is it deflationary? And in fact it is. There is a buyer's fee for every transaction that takes place on the Stacker market fee, and it permanently removes 2% of every purchase from the circulating supply, which is absolutely incredible to see that come. There'll be other mechanics over time that will be added in that we'll likely get into as well a little later that will allow for similar functionality. But just the return of OMI to NFT, it gets people excited. And I love scrolling through socials on a regular basis and seeing people starting to realize the benefits of utilizing crypto to make these purchases. Oftentimes the price is 10 to 15% lower on Stacker.
so many good deals.
Yeah, and so people have been taking advantage of these deals, and so that's been great. And as a part of that too, on our priority for accessibility, one of the things that we were working on is making the token more accessible to users. And so one of the things that we identified is that our North American contingent, who represent a decent percent of the base users that exist on the Veve platform, had no means to access the OMI token. And so really working hard to integrate on the base solution. There's been several steps that we've taken towards that, but fiat onboarding as well, being a great kind of proponent to allow people who either don't want to cash their gems out of Veve or have some fiat on the side and don't want to have to go through the gem market because the deal that they're looking for is listed in cryptocurrency. And so there's a lot of excitement surrounding that. And then, of course, the utility with the OMI rewards program, with users earning bronze tickets and additional MCP points. It just gives people a reason to hold on to their tokens on a daily basis until they find a really awesome deal that they're looking for on Stacker. And then they can buy that, but then they can also sell collectibles too and start to accumulate their OMI balance as well. So it's a really cool game. There's some fun arbitrage going on between the markets, and people are starting to finally realize the benefits behind it. And I'm looking forward to watch it continue to take off.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great so far. But you gave me a lot of points where we can talk about. So first of all, something I see sometimes on X is like people who are calculating the burn ratio, and then they're like, oh, it takes blah 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 1,000 years, whatever it is, honestly, at current burn rate to burn like 10% of the supply. And you've already mentioned, okay, there will be other burn mechanics. So there were talks about like OMI related accessory burns or something like buys, I mean, and also that the OMI token will be integrated into the VeVeVerse. By the way, I'm a huge fan of the VeVeVerse. I love building in there. It's so much fun. So can you elaborate on those 2 points a little more, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's always fun to watch people make burn predictions, and anyone that watched my YouTube channel back in the day knows that I loved doing kind of analytic prediction type videos. Yeah. And so I totally get where the community is coming from on that, and they're trying to extrapolate a small subset of data to try and how could it have impact on the long term. And it's totally fair. I love to see people doing that because, I always say, whether people are saying something positive or negative about a project or something that's going on, the fact that they're talking about it means that they're interested in it. And I think that that's always great. So yeah, it's fun to watch people debate that in the comments. But yeah, there'll obviously be more utilities that are added for the OMI token than just the native OMI to NFT, which exists. But, I was adamant that OMI to NFT needed to happen first because it basically allowed us to build upon that foundation to add in different utilities and rewards for the token. But OMI to NFT being the foundational one needed to be there first. So, one of the next ones that's likely to come is OMI to bronze tickets. It's not a super big surprise. I mean, we've talked about it before, but, being able to purchase bronze tickets right now, you can earn bronze tickets through seasonal rewards by holding OMI tokens in your self-custody Stacker wallet. But eventually you will also be able to burn them.
Sorry to interrupt there, but don't you think that like before people really think that it's worth buying bronze tickets, we need more stuff for the bronze tickets, more value? I guess you guys are working on it, but currently you can only level up your MCP. Is it right?
Yes. So the first utility for bronze tickets is currently to get additional MCP points. And right now, getting MCP points will adjust your rank for any given 24-hour period. So you can use the bronze tickets to redeem to be a certain rank, whether that be master collector, diamond, platinum, bronze, silver, so on and so forth. And so, it's funny because you're absolutely right? When people look at it, they go, well, why would I want to go out and spend my OMI on bronze tickets to burn the token and have those tokens when the only thing that I can do with bronze tickets currently is to get additional MCP points? Totally fair, right? And so as an example, I have bronze tickets from the first 6 seasons now that I've accumulated from holding my max stake on my self-custody wallet. I haven't spent a single one of those bronze tickets, right? Yeah. So currently, most people haven't. And those people are smart, in my opinion, to not be doing that. But, similarly to when Veve added in the initial Master Collector program to begin with, and there was no reason to earn Master Collector points, people didn't bother earning Master Collector points because there was no point to earn Master Collector points.
Yeah.
But then when you had the ability to get additional access to the waitlist by bidding those MCP points or bidding on exclusive drops, people suddenly went, wow, I'm really glad that I've been accumulating these MCP points. So similarly with bronze tickets, there will eventually be utilities that I'm not going to speculate on because I don't want to get in trouble, but there'll be utilities outside of just redeeming them for MCP points that people may eventually go, wow, I really wish this whole time I had been earning bronze tickets. But for the people that didn't earn bronze tickets this whole time, they'll be able to turn around and then be able to buy those bronze tickets with OMI. And there may be a bit of a FOMO component there, right? Which is, beneficial, I think, to the user base as a whole, because the hope obviously is that the purchase of bronze tickets does burn OMI directly from the circulating supply. So I won't speculate too much on what some of those utilities may be, but yes, the full intention is absolutely to have more than just earning additional MCP points for bronze tickets. And so I've always been an advocate, if you have bronze tickets, if you've been earning them for seasonal rewards, hold on to them for now because there'll be a better use case for them after. So there's no point in redeeming them for additional MCP points, but even just rank based rewards, right? There may be a period in time where Veve does exclusive drops that are rank gated, right? You need to be above Diamond 2 on any given day to access a specific drop or access it early. So being able to redeem those bronze tickets all at once to be able to boost that rank for the day may actually be interesting. And so I also saw someone released a message on social media the other day, and they were talking about how they've been redeeming 2 bronze tickets a day and earning about 30 MCP points a day. And they equated it to the difference of using 2 bronze tickets versus needing to own like 60 common comics to equal the same amount. Yeah. And so they're starting to, it's fun because you're watching people start to understand the components of it and are looking for the best way to take advantage of it. But bronze tickets are one cool component. And then obviously, as you mentioned as well, for the second part, the VVverse, the utility in the VVverse.
Oh, you're still here. That means you got some value out of this interview so far. So please let me know through a like, or if you want to see all the cool upcoming interviews, leave a follow to the channel. That would be much appreciated. And now back to the interview.
Right. And so for those of you that were able to tune in for NFC Lisboa, Veve COO Dan Crothers made a presentation talking about some of the highlights for Veve OMI and the VeVeVerse, and he did confirm in that presentation that OMI will be the utility token of the VVverse. And so I'm not in a position to necessarily speculate on what those exact utilities will be, but that should let people know at least that the intention is obviously to fully integrate OMI into the ecosystem, as it always has been, right? As OMI is the utility token that powers the Veve ecosystem, and as a byproduct of that, also the token that powers the VeVeVerse. And so it's going to be fun to watch some of those things come together. And obviously those will all have different benefits, different burn rates for the token, for whether it's accessories or items that you're purchasing or experiences or whatever the case may be. But there will be those components there for OMI in that as well. And as you said, you enjoy using the VeVeVerse. And I think if you can further enhance or gain access to exclusive content or features with OMI, even if it's just for holding it or having to spend it, I think a lot of people will look forward to being able to take advantage of that to kind of get up their showrooms to the next level.
So my conclusion on what you've said over the last 5 to 6 minutes would be the OMI burn rate will probably improve over time.
I mean, the hope, right? And I don't want to speculate too much, right? I mean, the markets are going to do what markets are going to do. The community is going to do what they're going to do. But, when I look at the benefits of utilizing OMI, just so far as it is with OMI to NFT, it's about 8% cheaper to use OMI, especially if you're looking to cash out over using gems, just because of the 10% cash out fee. So, having access to so much additional liquidity from crypto in general, and Stacker's done a really good job of making it very seamless for people to swap USDC and Ethereum into OMI.
So easy in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like one click. And the great thing about being on Base is that Stacker sponsors all of the transaction fees. So OMI is the only token that you need to interact in the entire ecosystem, which is very unique because a lot of platforms you'll need Ethereum or whatever the native gas token is to pay gas fees for whatever it is. Even if the gas fees are a couple cents, right? Like it's not about saving the money, but if you need a second token, then you have to find a second way to onboard with fiat, or you have to pay gas fees to transfer from one wallet to another, and it can become very expensive. And it's also not super intuitive for a Web 2 native user base, right? Web 3 people, they'll figure it out, but it's really cool to watch that. And I've seen some people start to comment. They made a purchase on Stacker and they said, for the first time, I wasn't looking at OMI as a fiat equivalent. I was looking at OMI to just be OMI tokens. And so I thought that was a really cool observation where, you look at some of the crazy sales that we see on some of the other marketplaces in Ethereum, and people will spend 50 or 100 ETH, but they're not equating it to the dollar value of what 50 to 100 ETH is, right? So to the average person, what is a million OMI tokens, right? Like they don't know what that means, but they just go, hey, I want this thing. And it's super easy to buy it because Stacker has fiat onboarding. So even if you don't have crypto already, you can use fiat onboarding via Coinbase. It's sponsored via the gas fees with Stacker, and you can just do the entire process very seamlessly, very quickly. And so, over time, if you believe, and this is what I believe, is if you believe in the future potential of Veve as an ecosystem, and you believe in the fandoms that people are collecting on Veve, and you believe that more users will come into the Veve ecosystem, well, then as a byproduct, you believe in OMI, because OMI is so integrated into the Veve ecosystem that if Veve is going to be successful in selling digital collectibles, then people will want to come in with OMI and purchase those collectibles. So, and obviously as a byproduct of that, the burn rate may increase based on the amount of users that are spending. And if collectibles are more expensive as well, obviously the burn can be more expensive as well. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. And like I said, people are starting to understand the arbitrage opportunities. They're starting to understand the benefits of using Stacker. And each and every day we're seeing, kind of new users sign up on the Stacker side and starting to get it. I think people are feeling a little bit more comfortable with, the concept of third-party marketplaces, which is, fairly commonplace across the entire licensed digital collectible space. I mean, McFarlane uses a third-party marketplace. Cryptoids uses third-party marketplaces. It's not a Veve specific thing, right? And so, and then having Stacker with Dr. Profit obviously being a huge advocate for the Veve and OMI communities, gives it that additional kind of trust, and people know that he's working hard with our teams to build out a really kind of holistic solutions for users to really be able to take full advantage of the ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, Stacker has been a great play so far, and a great platform. But you've already mentioned Base. So that OMI has gone onto Base is not that long ago. A couple months, I would say. Is it right?
Yeah, so OMI went on to Base in, I think we were doing testnet in April, and I think it went live in early May of 2024. So it's been just over a year now that OMI... Okay. The OMI contract was created on Base, and then obviously some things have happened since then to get kind of some more adoption for it. So
yeah, so let us talk about that, because was it a few days ago? I tried to get it, but I'm not quite sure what it actually means. So the Ecomi Twitter account posted, okay, we are soon on Base. So does it on Coinbase? Does it mean tokens doesn't get listed per se? They are automatically in the ecosystem? Or help me understand that more a bit.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, Base as an ecosystem, when we were looking to pick a layer 2 solution for the OMI side, obviously the token had been bridged from GoChain over to IMX in early 2022. And that made it we bridged to Ethereum layer 1, which made it an ERC20 token from the Go20 standard. And then IMX was selected as the solution for Veve, which allows them to mint their collectibles, but also allowed us to send the tokens over to the Veve web wallets to be held for rewards at that period of time. So that system has worked all right for the most part, but obviously the bridging solution to get tokens on and off of IMX has been arduous to say the least for users. IMX was a great partner for us. They did a lot of work to build a custom bridge just to allow users to move their tokens on and off of the Veve web wallet. But there was multiple sets of gas fees you would have to pay. There was a roll-up period where you would have to wait in order to get those tokens. So a lot of times people would have to pay, $15 or $20 in gas fees, wait 12 hours for the challenge period and then come back and claim their tokens. And then, if a gas fee didn't go through, it would get stuck. It wasn't the best solution for users. And so Base came along in August of 2023 and released this new blockchain that they were building kind of in concert with Coinbase, which is really the world's most accessible cryptocurrency exchange. Binance is bigger by volume, but is not available in the US. So Coinbase, especially for our user base, is certainly the most appealing exchange, in my opinion. They're the most recognized, the most regulated in that regard. So when we were looking at different options, looking at a couple different exchanges, so looking at, Polygon, looking at Base, and a few others, there was pros and cons to all, but having Base be so closely connected to the Coinbase ecosystem and knowing a lot of the things that they were working towards, because we had been following their teams quite closely, it just made the most sense to go down that route. So once that was launched, initially what had actually come out was the native bridge had a 7-day challenge period on Base. So Stacker had gone out and proactively built out a custom bridge to allow users to bring their tokens back from Base to Ethereum layer 1 to forego the 7-day challenge period and basically provide instant access via the relay protocol for users. So that was the first step that we took in early 2024 to make things more accessible. We were actually the 16th token that bridged to Base. So we saw their potential quite early, wanted to be a part of their ecosystem. And so, fast forward to, 4 or 5 months ago, the OMI token became available for trading on the Coinbase wallet, which is like a standalone wallet, like a MetaMask or a Uniswap wallet, where you have a private seed phrase you enter it in, and it's integrated with DEXs, so Uniswap, Aerodrome, and a few others, where you can utilize it to make trades. So OMI was available on the Coinbase wallet, but not available on the Coinbase app, which is the main exchange marketplace that exists. So that was a good step in the right direction. And so what Coinbase has done most recently, and they've announced it in the last week, is that they're integrating all of the tokens that have been listed on Base directly into the main Coinbase app. And so what this will allow users to do is that any token that exists on Base, which of course the OMI token does, we created the token contract and it is tradable right now and has a liquidity pool, users will be able to actually go into the main Coinbase app from wherever they reside, so long as they're KYC'd and have an account that they have access to, and they will be able to actually directly trade the OMI token directly from the same interface that you would trade all of the tokens that are, I guess you could say, natively listed to Coinbase. Now, of course, it's just Base tokens, so you won't be able to access the Ethereum layer 1 OMI token on Coinbase directly through the app. So there would be benefits, obviously, still to a direct listing, so that we're not just resting on our laurels and saying, "Hey, it's on Coinbase now." It is on Coinbase, but it's the Base. It's the Base token specifically. Now, for us, all of the OMI utility for the token is built out on Base. So for our purposes, we don't want you to take your tokens off of Base, right? And ideally, more and more exchanges will start to support Base as a network, and then more and more users will actually be able to trade the OMI token on whatever exchange it's listed on, whether it's OKX, AscendX, Gate, Bitmart, wherever. But then withdraw it on the Base network, because that's the network they're going to want to use it for OMI to NFT. It's the one that they're going to want to use it for rewards, for staking, whatever comes, right? And so it's really cool to watch them integrate DEX, so decentralized exchange pools via Uniswap, but as well as having that sex component for people that are either familiar with the user interface or want to have the benefits of using an exchange. And there's pros and cons to both, right? So I think it's a great step in the right direction for us, and it will certainly open up new eyeballs to the OMI token, and of course anyone pretty much in any jurisdiction, and especially for our purposes, the US contingent will be able to access the OMI token directly on their Coinbase app, which is, it's a big deal. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, if we would have seen that kind of announcements back in 2021 when the last bull run kicked off, that would be a huge deal. It still is, but I mean, the community's excitement is there, but back then it would be so huge. Everybody would have talked about it. Same with OMI to NFT on Stacker. That's such a huge thing in my opinion. And I think it looks like Ecomi is like laying the foundation right over the last couple of years, months and years. And also, we are seeing now one of the co-founders, Dan, talking a little bit more, or just talking about the OMI token. That's probably how to say it, and that's great to hear. We know that on the Veve side, there are a couple of things to get like the word out. For example, the Veve affiliate program, which I'm in, by the way. So if you want to support, check out the link down in the description. And are there any similar things planned for the OMI token? For example, influencer in the crypto space promoting the token or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And so, I've always been an advocate of, you look at the chicken and the egg problem, right? Which one came first and which one needs to come first, right? So for my purposes, I've always looked at, what makes more sense to have come first, right? Does it make sense to market a product, or does it make sense to have something to market and then market the product? And so for our purposes, right, now that we're starting to have some of the utilities and features that people can actually utilize, it makes sense to start talking about the product more and get people on board with it. So, people for, 6-12 months ago were, when are you going to start talking about the OMI token more? When are you going to start marketing it? Well, you could start marketing OMI to NFT when it had 1% of licenses, right? But if people are going to come on and the entire time they're just going to say, well, how am I going to access this? Or how am I going to access this? Right. And so if they're constantly going to say, well, you don't have the thing that I want or whatever, then it defeats the purpose, right? And I believe in the generation that we live in, right? It's very, if you don't hook someone immediately, you lose them forever. You have one chance to make a good first impression. And so there's no point in marketing and advertising things if you're not in a position to do so, is my belief anyways. And so now we're in a position with Stacker being fully launched and rolled out, and with some of the features that they've built out, where we saw most recently in NFC Lisboa, there was the ability for users to earn 100,000 OMI tokens for getting involved in the ecosystem for the first time, right? And so we did some promotions surrounding that. We had printed off some flyers. It was advertised on the actual booth itself, printed out and everything. And it was incredible. It was incredible to be able to do that. I was able to go down there. I was able to film a little bit, talk to some people that were actually signing up, and it was really cool to see the amount of users that were signing up that were genuinely interested, that either hadn't heard of Veve or hadn't heard of OMI. But we were in a position to say, hey, here's 100,000 OMI tokens. You can buy this collectible from Disney or Marvel or DC or Star Wars or if you like Lamborghini or Black, like whatever it was, right? Versus, hey, we have these 2 independent licensors that you can check out, but anything else you can't. And then it wouldn't have made sense, right? But now we're in the position where people can do more with the OMI token, and the more and more that they'll be able to do with the OMI token, the more and more it makes sense to start advertising it. And so it's harder, I shouldn't say, to do an affiliate program with a crypto token than it is to do it with Veve, because with Veve, it's a bit more tangible. With OMI, as an example, if you said, hey, get your friends to sign up with Stacker, but all you need to do to sign up with Stacker is enter your email, well, then what stops a user from just signing up with 100 emails, right? And then they get 10 million OMI tokens in a minute, right? Or getting a bot to run a script. And so it's not quite as simple as that right now. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have that participation, but it's possible, and it's definitely something that we're exploring, and we will absolutely get to that point as we start to roll out kind of more rewards. Then there'll be a reason to really have people start to talk about it. I don't know that it makes sense just to pay random influencers, exorbitant amounts of money to start talking about something that they're not familiar with and they're not passionate about, because I think people see through that. Like our community is very earnest, they're very passionate, and so they're going to go, this random person, and it's also very hard to measure the impact of that, because how do you gauge sign up metrics just for them talking about it? But we still have some options that we can look to explore, and we'll definitely be looking to get to that.
Okay, so it looks like there are plans to market the token way more than in the last couple of months and years, because as you said, there was not it doesn't make sense to market something when there's no product behind.
Yeah.
But just on the point of crypto channels and influencer, so you've said that you don't think there is much potential in paying someone to talk about the token. For example, I mean, Altcoin Daily or so. That's a channel I watch regularly, and I mean they have so many followers, and obviously it would be kind of expensive to get them to talk about it. But I guess that would be, in my opinion, a great opportunity to just get the word out. And then there are a lot of channels like mine or others in the Veve and Ecomi ecosystem who can like catch people and drag them down the rabbit hole. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, I don't want to rule it out entirely, right? Like, I'm not saying that there'll never be a paid promotion that's done for OMI or Ecomi. It's just, it's harder to quantify when you're looking to consider how you're spending that money. And obviously we're looking to budget the business development fund. Obviously we have that fund available to us in order to improve aspects of the project. And so that's why it's there, right? But you want to make sure that you have that runway and you're building it out in such a way that it is quantifiable, it is tangible, because someone just putting a banner up in the back of their video while they're talking about it, I mean, it may work a bit, right? I mean, there's certainly an argument that could be made that it could work, and certainly someone like Altcoin Daily that has an absolutely massive following. But the problem becomes when you just pay someone to advertise something that they don't really know anything about, at the first sign of something not going right, or a delay, or even just not having been a part of the community or ecosystem, they can't actually answer really any meaningful questions that people come and ask them, right? Like you have the Ecomi banner in the background, and you say, oh wow, like what's this Ecomi token? And they're like, oh yeah, they pay me to talk about it. Like it does this thing. And then they have one or two talking points, but it's just like, you can't have a meaningful conversation about it, right? And so it doesn't mean that it's not effective. It's certainly one tool in the toolbox, but I would also say that, there's also several very interesting and unique ways to market the OMI token as a byproduct of being associated with the Veve ecosystem, right? And so obviously,
for example,
so as an example, right? So as an example, inside the VeVeVerse, you could have massive creators who are building spaces, or there could be competitions for things that you have to build or purchase or utilize, and you could have advertisement as associated with the OMI token. I was actually speaking to another member of the community recently about an event that they were looking to put on, and I was making recommendations to them about things that we would absolutely love to sponsor, the type of events, right? So I mean, things that I've found personally, and this is just observations that I've made over time, is some of the things that are most successful is sponsoring a prize pool for content creators who are hosting a competition, right? And so I don't know if you've heard of Ludwig Ogren or any of the guys that live out in LA that have 4, 5, 6 million YouTube subscribers, but a lot of companies will sponsor them, right? And they'll host a challenge for $500,000, and then they'll have 12 absolutely massive content creators that have 1, 2, 5, 10 million subscribers, and they compete for that prize pool. And then they're advertising that product as a byproduct of what is happening, right? And so that, to me, it's like you get the notoriety behind it, you can do some marketing behind it, you get the excitement associated with it. And so things like that I think would be really great. Now, of course, paying users to talk about things in regular spots on their programs and channels and stuff, also a possibility, but you want to make sure that those content creators are familiar with the ecosystem, and also they're content creators that are talking about OMI, which is associated with Veve, which is associated with all the licensors that they have. And it's not just as simple as throwing a bunch of money at someone random, right? Like you have to really make sure that you're vetting and you're going through the right processes to make sure that they're in a position where you feel comfortable having them advertise. Because the last thing that you want to do is pay someone to talk about something and then have them be, not such a good person, and then you're stuck in a situation, right? So very long story short, there will absolutely be more opportunities to market the OMI token, and even in my opinion, the increase in the rewards ecosystem will allow for people to market as a byproduct of what is happening. So eventually there may be trading competitions and different things that are sponsored by Ecomi, where people can earn rewards, whether it be on Stacker or elsewhere and stuff. And then people on their social media are going to be talking about the trading competitions and the rewards that they've earned and the benefits that they get out of the ecosystem. And so the word will get out, but certainly paying people to speak about the project is an option as well.
Yeah, got it. And totally understand that point. I mean, you want to make sure that the marketing dollars are spent well, and people who promote the product know what they're talking about.
Absolutely. I don't need anyone coming to me saying you paid someone $1 million and they talked about the project twice and then they dumped the token, right? Like no one wants that, right? So we really need to be careful about how we go about doing this. But I mean, even something as simple, I think Veve did something really cool back in 2021. You have the light box here that's behind me. Like they did something like that. I would personally love to be able to do something like that on the Ecomi side as well, right? To represent the Ecomi content creators, especially the ones that stuck with us through the bear market and hung out and didn't run for the hills when things weren't going as well as they were in 2021, right? And so I think people deserve that recognition, and I think there's ways to give recognition more than just monetarily, which is why I did the challenge coins a few years back out of my own pocket, even before I joined the company, because I just felt like people deserve to be recognized. And so I think there's different ways that you can go about it and get people excited and encouraged to talk about the project and the token. But, it's also worth noting, and I think something that's really special about our community is that there are so many people that already talk about the project without being paid for it, just because they're passionate about it, right? And so...
exactly. Really passionate. Yeah. I mean, the reason why I've started the channel is I came through OMI. I've never been a collector before, and then I got to appreciate and got in love with the community. And now you see a couple of collectibles behind myself, like physical ones. So the channel is for me to learn about collecting, because I've never been a collector, and that's the reason I've done this channel, to like get in touch with like people who deeply know what they're talking about. But back to the OMI token. So we know that the OMI token is tied to Veve and the Veve ecosystem, and we've also heard about like other companies, I would say Epico, for example, who use the OMI token. Honestly, I don't know much about that side, about Epico, but give me some information about not specifically that partnership, but are there plans that the OMI token will be utilized by other platforms or mini games or whatever?
Yeah.
Besides those who are already
Yeah, absolutely. So the really cool thing about the OMI token is obviously it's been designed to be a utility and rewards token that can be integrated into various ecosystems. So obviously primary intention was with Veve, and that has been done. Byproduct of that is also the VeVeVerse, which is another massive one. And then, of course, you've referenced Epico Regal. There's also Tengoku Senso, which is like a hack and slash PvP. They're still working on their game. It's taken quite a while, but they are still working to release that product as well. There's Collective Shift, where you can get discounts on accessing their platform, which is it's a crypto education platform. So OMI holders get discounts for doing that. The fiches also had some integrations with the OMI token as well. And then OMI can also be used as a payment token on the Stacker marketplace. It can also be used on Immutable X as well. So the Immutable X marketplace, you can actually use the OMI token to purchase collectibles from different platforms outside of Veve. So whether it's Gods Unchained or some of the other collectibles that they have there. Yeah. So it's really cool to see some of the integrations that people have made already. And then, of course, we still have those integrations to come with the VeVeVerse. And as we branch out with Stacker, there could be other third-party marketplaces that are looking to integrate the token, or different games that would like to utilize it. I don't want to speculate too much on any of that, but obviously even community members, if they're looking to integrate the OMI token into a game that they've created. Obviously Brock McBride, he was the one that created the fiches, and so he was a community member, and he chose to integrate the token as well. And so there's just different options that people can have. If they have any ideas, obviously they can reach out to myself and to the team if they're looking to integrate the OMI token. But yeah, we're always looking for different options and opportunities opportunities to branch out the OMI token, because the OMI token isn't, some people ask sometimes, well, why don't you just rebrand the OMI token to the Veve token? And it's like, well, because the OMI token isn't just used for Veve, right? It's used for multiple things. And so, it's cool to see how the ecosystem has expanded, and I'm sure it will continue to expand over time.
Yeah, totally get it. So that were like the main questions I had so far for you. But is there like anything you would like to be asked about the OMI token?
That I would like to be asked. That's interesting. I think it's really cool that you don't feel like you're afraid to ask questions. Like, I like that. Like, it seems like you're not the guy that's afraid to ask the tough questions. Sometimes people want to be politically correct and not ask difficult questions. But, I think that, I guess one of the things, and I think you had actually sent me some of the questions beforehand, and I don't actually think we got an opportunity to speak about this one, but I think you were going to ask me something about, whether being on the team now, anything has changed for me. I know you asked me kind of about being a community member, but has anything changed for me since I joined the team? And I would say it has. So I think that people feel that I'm in a privileged position, and I certainly feel privileged to have the job and be able to represent the community, or at least I try to. But it doesn't come without its challenges, right? And I think that that's the part that often goes overlooked. People go, wow, like, you get to have this job, you get to know about things that are coming before they happen, and but that's a blessing and a curse, right? And so for me, I think one of the things that I struggle with is that the things that I get excited about, I'm excited about several months before the community is excited about it. And
in silence.
Exactly. And it's very hard for me, because I would absolutely love to just be like, hey, we're working on this, or we're working with this person, or we're doing this. But I can't, right? And so for me, it's like, by the time something comes out that we announce, it's like, I've moved on to 2 or 3 other things that we're working on. And so then I have to and I don't want to say that I'm faking it, because obviously I'm genuinely excited about it because I'm happy for the community, but I don't know how David does it, right? Because I'll talk to him and be like, yeah, wow, this came out today, congratulations for you. And he'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm 12 to 18 months past that. You know what I mean? He's so future. And I never understood that. I was like, but how could you not be? And so I'm starting to get it a little bit more now. And the piece that I never want to lose is when you do something that you love and then it becomes a job, you can stop loving it sometimes. And I don't want to ever get to that spot. Right. And I love this community. I love the project, and I'm very passionate about it. And I never want it to become a job where I have to be super yes, good day, sir. And all that. They tried to give me some media training a few months back, and it went okay. But I'm like, it's not me. It's not me. It's not who I am. And I feel like people feel like they can relate to me because they're the guy that I talk to in person when I meet him at events or whatever, or the guy that I see on YouTube, it's the same guy, you know what I mean? And so for me, it's always been very important. I want people to be able to believe the things that I say, because they know that I'm the type of person that I'm not going to say it if I don't believe it. Right. And so, it's sometimes it can be tough. Like I said, there's so many exciting things that we're working on with Stacker, and we're working on with OMI, and obviously that we're working on with Veve, that, I come on these interviews sometimes and it's we're working on stuff and whatever. And people go, oh, it's more soon, it's more whatever. And I wish I could just be here's the thing, and here's the other thing, and here's the thing that we're doing with this thing. And then, but then it's then I get in trouble. And so, it can be tough for me sometimes. Right. And so I hope people know that when I'm doing this, I'm doing it because I love to speak about it. And sooner or later I'll slip up about something and people will try and catch me on it. And, if it happens, it happens, right? You gotta just you just gotta go with it. And so I mean, for me, I'm just I'm really excited about the prospects of the future of the project. And I think people, even the people that don't want to always admit it, can genuinely say, even though things with Ecomi and the OMI token aren't happening nearly as quick as we'd want them to. And to be fair, they're not happening nearly as quick as I'd like them to either. But outside of not happening as quickly, they are happening, and they have been happening, and they will continue to happen. And I think, to me, that's the takeaway that I always try to leave people with, is like, it's never going to happen in the time you want it to happen in, but it will always happen. And so I always tell people, like, I go to bed at night and I don't worry about waking up the next morning going, the founders ran away, the project shut down, and whatever. Like, I never, like, I don't worry about that at all, right? And so, you know, I can't say the same for a lot of the rest of crypto. Crypto is the Wild West, and, you know, the regulations are starting to become more prevalent and are starting to exist through the U.S., especially with you know, a change in leadership in the government, and through different priorities with the SEC and stuff. And so I think, you know, central bank digital currencies are becoming a thing, and I think the clarity that will exist for crypto moving forward will only be a benefit to Ecomi, and will only allow us to grow further. And I think for a lot of time, people were like, everyone else is do it. Just do the things that, you know, could potentially get you in trouble because whatever. And
yeah, but it's really hard with those big,
and that's it, right? Like, exactly. Head, right? And as much as I would love to be able to do certain things just because, we are truly not in a position to be able to do that. But I think we have been strategically positioning ourselves, especially aligning ourselves with Base. That was, you know, at the time, it wasn't an easy decision to make, right? Like, Base only had 15 tokens on it at the time when we were making that decision, and we had already gone along with the migration over to ERC layer 1 and then IMX layer 2. And now we're introducing this new layer 2, and there's still 100 billion tokens sitting on GoChain, and people haven't even made that transition yet. And now you're trying to get them to make another transition. And so all of these moves, you know, people don't always understand them at the time. Like, why did you roll out OMI to NFT only with 1% of licensors? Or why didn't we have fiat onboarding yet? Or what, you know, and all these things. But then as fiat onboarding comes through Base, and as OMI to NFT is powered by Base, and as Base integrates DEX utility into their native Coinbase app, I think as people start to understand the mantra of Base and Coinbase, which is to bring the next billion users on chain, and you understand how we've aligned that with all the traditional licenses IP that already have billions of users, with Stripe acquiring Privy, which is powered, which is what we use to power on Stacker, right? Like, all these pieces are starting to fall into place, right? With MetaMask integrating fiat payments, with Shopify being onboarded. It's all starting to come together. And then, I think it's cool because the people that get it, you know, they get it and they're like, I see what they're doing. And then the people that don't get it, once again, I'm not holding back to be that guy. It's like, I can't talk about certain things, but people will be like, oh, they're not doing it, they're not doing this. And then that slowly starts to happen, and then you start, and you never see them go, oh, they were right. They're not as loud anymore. And so it's just fun to watch that transition. And I also want to take accountability of that from our front, right? Because if we were quicker on our delivery, if we were more transparent about how we did certain things, then those people may never have become pessimistic. Like, we have to take ownership in that, because it's equally, if not more, our fault than it is theirs, because they want to have something to believe in, and we need to give it to them. And I just hope that people see, as we continue to develop, that we're giving people things to believe in, right? Like, outside, and markets will do what markets do. You know, people always say, like, oh, have you looked at the price of this? Have you done? Like, I don't care about any of that. And it's not because whatever, right? But it's just, we can only build what we can build, and we can only deliver what we can deliver. And then everyone else is going to decide what to do with that. And so as the macro improves, as people start to care about Ethereum again, as Bitcoin dominance goes down, as the markets heat up, as we go into a bull market, will people start to be interested in NFTs again? I believe that they will.
And the metaverse bubble.
Exactly. And as Apple and Facebook and Google all develop AR, VR headsets and technology, and as it becomes more affordable and isn't $3,500 to buy a headset, and as right, like 20 years ago, we didn't walk around with cell phones in our pockets, and now if someone didn't have a cell phone on them, it would be crazy, right? So in 20 years from now, people not having AR, VR heads-up display glasses is going to be, how do you not have those?
I don't even think that it takes so long.
I don't think so either, but you know, I've been wrong on predictions before, so
I think it's possible.
No, I hear you, but I'm really excited about the future of the space, because when I came into crypto in 2021, I really didn't know a lot about, you know, NFT technology, about blockchain technology, about what is the ERC 721 standard versus the ERC 20 standard versus 1155? Although I don't even think that one existed at the time, right? Like, what are different blockchains? How do you bridge? How do you do? And so I feel like crypto they've done leaps and bounds to make things more understandable, more digestible, more accessible, and more efficient. Gas fees have gone down, accessibility has gone up, and we now have more than ever governments, business, and just entire regions adopting blockchain technology. And so I feel like Veve, I don't know how they could have seen this in 2017 when they conceived of the idea, but when people say like, oh, you're still early, and people go, oh, you're not still early, you've been around for 5 years. And it's like, well, Amazon wasn't profitable for the first 5 years. Like, what do you mean? Like, you had to hold the stock for 15 years before they even started making money. And now Amazon's like the biggest company in the world, right? And so when you see a vision early, it's really cool to watch it be. And so that's the part that makes me grateful, is just being a part of the process and watching kind of the masters at work. And so, it's going to be a fun ride.
And I think Veve and Ecomi is well positioned at this point. Obviously, still lots of room for improvement here and there to get more accessibility, more liquidity, etc. But I think for now the community can be happy and grateful for what you guys and the Veve team has accomplished, even though there's always room for improvement. But I think, in my opinion, a lot of education has to take place. What is an NFT? What's special about an NFT? And why should I care? I think this is a topic that needs a lot of clarification and mass information, as you can say. That's my take on that. And I have one follow-up question because you told that it's sometimes hard because you know stuff so early, and whenever you say, a lot of people look at it and look at every small detail you're saying. So you yourself are a OMI holder from back in 2021, and I don't know if you acquired more OMI tokens since then. I mean, that's not the question. The question is, there will be a point where you take profits. Have you ever thought about what this will make with the community, and what kind of maybe negative spiral could occur when people see, oh, the Ecomi community manager is selling, he doesn't believe, rug pull. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's a very valid question, right? I will say, you have to be in profit in order to take profit. It's kind of my first comment, and I'm sure people will have fun with that one. But no, I haven't been paid a single OMI token since I joined the company. I don't get paid in OMI as much as I'd like to be. I don't get paid in OMI. For my purposes, like, obviously I have to be very careful with acquiring the token, right? And I've done it a bit, but I'm also like, I had acquired quite a bit before I joined the company, right? And so, it's tough, right? Like, you still got to pay your bills and do all that kind of stuff. But I can say, absolutely, hand on my heart, I haven't sold a single OMI token. And you're right, though. Eventually, one day that day will come. But I'd like to think that when that day comes, that people will know that I'm not doing it due to a lack of belief in the project anymore, but it will be, hey, I've been here for 7 or 8 years, and I'd like to be able to take out kind of my initial contributions that I had made in the first place. But I don't see myself doing that for a really long time, right? And there's just no catalyst or need for it, right? I mean, I've believed in the OMI token when the OMI token was higher than when I bought it. I've believed in the OMI token from when it was less than what I bought it for. To me, it's going to only become further and further integrated into the Veve ecosystem, into the VeVeVerse. And I really do believe that the user bases will come, and that the masses will come, and that there will be a solid utility that people will want to utilize the OMI token. And for me, you talked about the education a couple of minutes ago. And for me, people have always said, well, why would people buy the OMI token, right? And, why would they buy the OMI token? Why wouldn't they just buy Ethereum? Why wouldn't they just do something else? For me, the belief has always been and remains, you're not getting people to buy the OMI token simply to just buy the OMI token. You're getting people to buy the OMI token because they believe in the VV Collectibles ecosystem. And I feel like if they're buying the VV, or they're buying the OMI token to buy VV Collectibles, and they don't even know that the OMI token is a cryptocurrency or that it's Web3 blockchain based, whatever, it's still a net benefit to the ecosystem. And I look at it similarly to when you buy COD points on Call of Duty, or you buy Robux on Roblox, right? Like, you don't buy those tokens that exist. They're not blockchain tokens, but you don't buy them to hold on to them. You buy them to spend them in the ecosystem, right? So if we have 1 million users on Veve one day, that's 1 million people that at the time will have the benefit of holding OMI tokens to earn rewards, or getting discounts for buying certain collectibles, or whatever the reason is, right? Having enough utilities and features in place for the OMI token that people want to utilize it in the ecosystem, well, then you have that user base already, right? And so my belief is that as more people onboard onto Veve, more people will naturally onboard onto OMI as a byproduct. So, at some point, I'll also buy collectibles on Veve, right? I'll also take advantage of it in other facets of the ecosystem. Am I going to sit here and tell you that I'm never going to sell an OMI token in my entire life? No, my wife would kill me, right? Like, at some point, you got to, but yeah, I mean, I would.
You have to take some lifestyle.
Yeah, and I mean, and for those of you that have been following my journey too, I mean, it's not like I'm a crazy whale either, too, right? Like let's be honest, right? Like I've done. I've done my best modestly, but it's not like I have 1 billion tokens or anything crazy like that. So, if I was to sell ever, it would be, in a very non-intrusive way. And honestly, I'd probably be transparent about it too. And if people felt like I shouldn't have been transparent because it's FUD, I mean, that's just who I am. Like, if I tell you, hey, I sold $5,000 because I wanted to take my family on a vacation, if you want to look at that as a negative because of whatever, like that's your choice, right? But for me,
I mean, there will definitely be people who see that as a negative, but honestly, the real community will know that's just the right thing.
Well, and that's it. And that's why, I've paid my way to the last 3 events out of pocket myself. Haven't sold a single OMI token, right? My vacations now look like going to events with the community because that's how I spend my vacation time and my money. But it's like, people that have been in the community for years, they know me, or at least I would hope that they know me and what I stand for and what I'm about. So, I would never do anything malicious to hurt this project or hurt the community in it. And if I didn't believe in the future of the company or the project, I just wouldn't do it anymore, right? Like, I don't have to do this. I do it because I want to. Just like you don't create content about the project because you have to. You do it because you want to, because you love and you believe in something. And so I feel very fortunate, like I said, to be in this position. I don't take it for granted, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Great to hear, Foster. It's been a pleasure. And thank you so much for your time. Honestly, it was great to talk to you about all the developments of OMI and to get your take on the current model and how do you say it, the current
state of affairs, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, perfect. So thank you so much. And for everyone out there, if you've enjoyed that conversation between Foster and myself, let us both know. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a follow, and Foster, any last words for the community before we end this thing?
Thank you guys for your support as always. It means the absolute world. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, and we absolutely recommend that. You guys are the best community in crypto. You're second to none, and we look forward to giving you guys more exciting things to look forward to through the rest of 2025 and beyond. So thank you for your support. Keep it coming, and until the next one, make sure you subscribe to this man down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
See you guys. Bye-bye.